Hey everyone, let's do the Dilemmas of a Book Nerd tag today. This tag was created by Lindsay's Little Library and I saw Sue at Sue's Book Nook do that and I thought I want to do it too. So let's get into it. The first question is about storage. We all know when you have a lot of books you need to store them, and I'm a very lucky person right now because my apartment is big. As you can see behind me, I can fit these 4 shelves easily in there. On the right side, on the top, we start with my TBR, and both shelves on the right side are dedicated for adult literary fiction. On the left side, we go more to series and fantasy and sci-fi and YA. I also have another shelf in the next room where I keep my German books and also finished series that I have done reading and I have all the books of. So that is nice to have that separated. I try to organize my books by genre and then alphabetically. Sometimes that doesn't always work because space. You can still not have enough space in a big room. Go figure. Question number 2 is all about tracking, how we keep track of all the books we own. And I have to say, I didn't track my books before BookTube. I never even thought about it. I just collected. Well, basically since I moved out. When I was in school, I didn't really buy all the books I read because I didn't have the money and I used the school library a lot. And so a lot of the books that I read when I was younger, I don't really know anymore. I don't have any recollection of the amount and which kind. I just read what I got my hands on. So when I moved here and started working, I could afford to buy the books, and also it was simultaneously with Amazon getting started. That helped me buy English books. Cheap. That was very helpful. Okay, getting back to tracking. I started using Goodreads after I started booktubing. And I basically use it to track all the books that I read. I don't keep my TBR on there. I don't really keep a wish list on Goodreads. I just track the books that I read and I added in all the books I owned. I think all the English ones. I'm not sure about the German ones. I know that I've been adding them now that I've been reading them, but not sure about older ones. Aside from Goodreads, I'm tracking my TBR. You know that my main reading goal currently is to reduce the TBR and keep a current flow in the TBR going. So I've been using quite a few spreadsheets over the years that other booktubers came up with, and I decided that the only thing of tracking here that's interesting for me is the TBR. So my tracking spreadsheet is really the books I read per month, the books when I add them, how long they stayed in my TBR, and a summary of the books I read in the year also in that spreadsheet. Yeah, that's all the tracking I do. Question 3 is the dilemma of borrowing. Do you lend out books? And I have to say I don't anymore. I tend to just buy the books for friends if I want them to read it, or I have very few selected people that I still give books to because I get them back way later than I wanted or ruined. So I decided I can afford to buy the books and just give them. That's much easier. Which brings us to question number 4, which is all about buying books. And there comes the special situation that I live in Germany but mainly read English books. So when I buy books here, I mostly rely on Amazon. The books are cheap, they are available, and I can get them easily. When I travel abroad, you know, when I go to London, I always come back with a bunch of books, which is usually because they have second-hand bookstores where I can find books that I actually want to read. And that's something I love to do. So if I lived in London, I would do that probably all the time and had a TBR that was seriously out of control. Aside from that, if I want to buy German books, I actually don't use Amazon because it doesn't matter where you buy German books, they all have the same price. So I just go into a bookstore, even though they closed my favorite bookstore. That's the thing. We had a good secondhand bookstore in our town and a good bookstore, but they both were closed down years ago. So my in-town book shopping has gone down very, very much. Question number 5 is all about the comments you get about your reading. And I have to say, I don't really get that many comments about my reading, neither positive or negative. I don't know if it's about the circle of people I run around with, or that I've been always reading and they don't know it any differently, or I'm too old that people wonder why I'm reading. Maybe that's what old people do. I don't know. But yeah, I don't have bad experiences with comments. Question number 6 is about choosing the next book. And I have to say, I'm a mood reader. Whatever I feel like, I just pick up. And then I read it. And I usually only read one book at a time and an audiobook at a time and don't jump around between different books. I'm not that good at that. Question number 7 is all about travel, how you choose the books to take on a trip. And I don't usually go on beach trips. I mainly go on city trips. And I usually expect to buy a lot of books where I travel. So I take my Kindle that I have books. I have books on my phone, like audiobooks on my phone. So I don't run out of books and always have the chance to get new books. But I usually buy more books on vacation and take them home with me. Question number 8 is about annotating the book. And I have to admit, I don't write in my books. I usually read in bed or when I'm out and about. And I don't want to take a break to take notes. That's the main thing. I don't want to take a break to write down something. That's why I don't do it. Yeah. And when it comes to question number 9, reading new books or backlist books, I don't have a strict rule about that. I usually read what I want to read, and when I find something that I like, I'm a huge cover buyer. If there's a nice cover, I buy it, and I don't know if it's a new book or a backlist book. When it comes to books I want to read and have on my wish list, most of them are backlist books, but if I hear about a new book and I'm really excited about it, I might just go out and get it. No restrictions there. And the last question is all about sequels. When do you read them? And you know that I'm currently in the middle of way too many series, and one of my goals is to read the sequels, but I usually don't own them. So I'm very bad at binging series. I can read one book, but then I need something else. So perfectly, I would start on a series with the first book and then read every sequel when it comes out. But we don't live in a perfect world, do we? So I'm behind on so many series that it's nice that they are finished maybe now so that I can just go and get all the books and read them. Still don't do that. And that was the tag. I think it's a fun tag. So I'm tagging everyone who struggles with at least one of these dilemmas and thinks they have a good answer. And if you don't make videos and want to tell me the answer in the comments, I'm looking forward to that. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.